We've talked about distance. We've talked about midpoint. Another characteristics of lines or line segments, either one. Slopes. Anybody know what a slope of a line is? Don't ask me how to find it. Tell me what it means. Yes. It's, yeah, we could say the measure that the angle of the line or line segment is at, or we could say it's a measure of how steep a line is. And to find this measure, it can be calculated by dividing the vertical change in the line or line segment by its horizontal change. Don't worry, I'll get back there. Anybody ever seen a sign like this on the highway?
No.
Never? Okay. Well, you'll see a sign like that when you come up to if the road is going to drop significantly or if it's going to rise significantly. And it will tell you a percent to get an idea. That's how much it's going to drop. So it's always, and this 18% would mean for every 1 meter for every 100 meters you go this way, you drop 18 meters. That's what this would represent. That's slope. Okay? That's just one application of slope. Okay, there you go. Back to this. And a way to remember it, instead of remembering all these words, is rise over run. Rise means vertical, run means horizontal. Okay? And rise doesn't always mean positive. You can rise negative, which means you go down. Okay? We'll see that with a few of these examples. Okay. So here's 4 segments. Let's look at AB. To find the slope, okay? And it's usually going to be a fraction unless you can make it a whole number or an integer, because it could be negative. Start at A and move to B. How much do I have to rise to get from A to B? How many units? 3 units? 4 units. So that's how much you change vertically, positive 4. From here, how much do I have to run, in other words, move horizontally, to get to B? And since I move to the right, it's positive 2. So we would say that the slope of AB would be 4 over 2, which I can just write as 2. We could have went from B to A. It doesn't matter what direction you go, because watch what happens. How much do I rise to get from B to A? But I'm going down, so it's negative 4. How much do I run from here to get to A? And because I'm going to the left, it's negative 2, so The slope would be -4 divided -2, which is also +2. It doesn't matter which way you do it. You're going to get the same answer. You have to. Okay. How about CD? So start at C. How much do I rise to move to D? How much? -3, because I'm going down. How much do I run? Over 4. So your slope is -3 over +4, which you can't divide cleanly, so you just leave it. Okay, these ones are a little, got to be careful with these ones. EF. Start at E. How much do I rise to move from E to F? 0. I don't rise at all. How much do I run? 4. So my slope here would be 0 over 4, which is the same as 0. Any horizontal line or line segment has a slope of 0. Let's go back and look at GH. Starting from G and moving to H, how much do I rise to get from G to H? Positive or negative? Negative, because I'm going down. How much do I run? 0. So therefore, -3 over 0, which is what? Undefined. Can't divide by 0. So any vertical line or line segment or line segment has an undefined slope. So pretty straightforward to find slopes when you're given a graph. Just start at one point, figure out how much you rise and run to get to a second point on the graph. So here, let's just look at these. What's the slope of that one? 1. So go from C to D or go from D to C. Figure out how much you have to go vertically. Figure out how much you have to go horizontally, and then that's your answer. -2. Okay, so how much is it down? 10. That's -10. And it moves to the right, +5. So that, in fact, works out to -2. Yes, good. How about B? How much do I go up? 6. And how much do I go across or to the right? 10. So I get 6 over 10. Can't divide it cleanly, but remember what I've always said, make sure it's reduced. 3 over 5. Now, try this. You're given the slope, you're asked to draw the line segment. So how would we do that? Well, what does the slope of 7 over 5 mean? So 7 up, 5 which way? Right. So pick a point anywhere on the grid that from that you can go 7 up and 5 to the right to get a second point. So probably start down here somewhere. Because if you start up here, you're going to go off the grid. So I'm just going to pick a point here. And I'm going to go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. There's my next point. There's my slope, or there's my line segment. And that's 7 over 5. Should be able to do the next one. Now, notice the negative. It's in the middle. Does it apply to the 3 or the 8? Both. But if you apply -3 and -8, you get a positive. You can pick a negative in the middle of a fraction is the same as putting the negative in the numerator. And it is also the same as putting the negative in the denominator. All of those mean the same thing. So you decide whether you want to put the negative with the 3 or with the 8, but don't put it with both because a double negative makes a positive. So if I do this one, what's this telling me to do? Go 3 down, and then 8 right. So I got to pick a point, and from that, go 3 down and 8 right. So probably in here somewhere, I'll start here. 1, 2, 3 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the right. Okay. But just like we did with distance, and just like we did with midpoint, okay? Sometimes it's inefficient to use a graph all the time, to go through all that effort to draw a graph and start counting rise over run. So we want to develop a formula that if we know 2 points on the line, we can find the slope. So let's say we're given 2 points on the line, or the endpoints of the line segment. And as usual, we're going to call these points x1, y1, and x2, y2. To find the slope, and believe it or not, the letter we use in math for slope is a lowercase m. They think it probably comes from the French for to climb. Monter. Okay. Well, remember what I said at the very beginning. The slope is the vertical change over the horizontal change. Well, vertical on a grid is y's. So the change in y's, take the second y minus the first y. That tells you the change in y's. Over the change in x's. Take the second x minus the first x. And that's your slope formula. Okay? Again, this is a formula you will get. So these last 3 lessons we've done with the distance, midpoint, and slope, you'll always get those formulas. So I'm not going to do example 4. Let's just do example 3. You're asked to find the slope that goes through, or the slope of a line that goes through these 2 points. In other words, these 2 points are on the line. So I want to find the slope, little m, of CD. What did I do? So second y minus first y. So 1 subtract negative 3, which actually becomes a plus, over 2 minus negative 5, which also becomes a plus. Can't divide that cleanly, can't reduce it, done. Okay? Good. Short and sweet. And you guys